James Brown was 3 songs into his set at the Chicago Theatre when he suddenly stopped the music. He walked to the edge of the stage and pointed to a 9-year-old boy in a wheelchair in the 3rd row. "You," James said into the microphone. "Come up here." Security carried the boy onto stage. The band didn't know what was happening. The 4,500 people in the audience didn't know what was happening. But what James Brown did next, and what that little boy did in response, became the most unforgettable moment in Chicago theater history. Let's go back 6 hours. It's November 8th, 1972, and 9-year-old Michael Patterson is sitting in his living room on Chicago's South Side, staring at 2 tickets his mother just placed on the coffee table. James Brown, tonight. Chicago Theatre, 3rd row. Michael can't believe it. He's been listening to James Brown since he was 5 years old. His father, who died 2 years ago in a car accident, used to play James Brown records every Sunday morning while making breakfast. Night train. Papa's got a brand new bag. I got you. Michael knows every word, every beat, every horn blast. But there's a problem. Michael hasn't walked in 3 years. A rare neurological condition called transverse myelitis attacked his spinal cord when he was 6, leaving his legs paralyzed. He gets around in a wheelchair, and while he's learned to navigate his world pretty well, concerts are complicated. Crowds, stairs, tight spaces, they're all obstacles. "Mom," Michael says, looking at the tickets, "how are we going to do this?" His mother, Linda Patterson, kneels down beside his wheelchair. "Baby, we're going to do it because you deserve to see James Brown. Your daddy would have wanted this, and I'm not letting anything stop you from having this experience." That evening, Linda pushes Michael's wheelchair down State Street toward the Chicago Theatre. The marquee is lit up. James Brown, 1 night only. A line of people stretches around the block. Linda is worried about getting Michael through the crowd, but when they reach the entrance, a security guard sees them and immediately helps, opening a side door and guiding them through a corridor that bypasses the main lobby. Their seats are in the 3rd row, center section. Perfect view of the stage. Linda has to move 2 seats to make room for Michael's wheelchair in the aisle, but the people around them don't mind. They help. Everyone is in a good mood, buzzing with anticipation. "Mom," Michael whispers, gripping the armrests of his wheelchair. "I can't believe this is real." At 8 p.m., the lights go down. The crowd erupts, and James Brown hits that stage like a hurricane. He's 39 years old, at the peak of his powers, and he performs like his life depends on every note. "Get up. I feel like being a sex machine," brings the entire theater to its feet. Well, almost everyone. Michael stays in his wheelchair, but he's moving mibbers, his upper body swaying, his arms waving, his face lit up with pure joy. Linda watches her son and starts crying. She hasn't seen him this happy since before his father died. Music is doing what medicine and therapy couldn't do. It's making him feel alive. James Brown moves through his set. Super bad. Soul power. Get up, offer that thing. The band is tight. The horns are blazing, and the 4,500 people packed into the Chicago Theatre are losing their minds. Then, about 45 minutes into the show, during a brief pause between songs, something happens. James Brown is standing at the edge of the stage, wiping sweat from his forehead with a towel, when his eyes scan the audience, and they land on Michael. A little boy in a wheelchair, 3rd row, moving his upper body, with more soul than half the adults in the building. James stares for a moment. The band is ready to go into the next song, but James holds up his hand. "Wait." He walks closer to the edge of the stage, still looking at Michael. "Hold on," James says into the microphone. The entire theater goes quiet. James points directly at Michael. "You young man in the wheelchair. What's your name?" Michael's eyes go wide. His mother gasps. Everyone in the third row turns to look at him. "Michael," the boy stammers, barely audible. "Michael," James repeats, louder, so the whole theater can hear. "How old are you, Michael?" 9. 9 years old, James says, nodding. "And you love this music?" "Yes, sir." Michael's voice is stronger now. "My daddy played your records every Sunday." James Brown goes very still. "Your daddy played my records?" "Yes, sir. Before he died, he said you were the hardest working man in show business. You could hear a pin drop in that theater." James Brown, the godfather of soul, the man who never shows vulnerability on stage, has tears in his eyes. "What's your daddy's name?" James asks quietly. "Robert Patterson. He died 2 years ago." James nods slowly. Then he turns to his security team standing in the wings. "Bring that young man up here." The crowd erupts in applause. 2 security guards move toward Michael, but they're not sure how to do this. He's in a wheelchair. Linda starts to say something about it being too difficult, but Michael grabs the security guard's hand. "I want to go," Michael says firmly. The guards lift him, Michael chair and all Michael, and carry him toward the stage stairs. The audience is on their feet, clapping, creating a path. When they reach the stage, they carry Michael and his wheelchair right up onto the platform. James Brown is standing center stage, microphone in hand, waiting. When Michael rolls up next to him, James kneels down so they're at eye level. "Michael," James says, his voice carrying through the theater's sound system, "your daddy was right. I am the hardest working man in show business. But you know what? You're pretty hard-working too, aren't you? Moving through this world in that chair, still finding joy, still loving music. That takes strength, little man." Michael nods, too overwhelmed to speak. "You know what else takes strength?" James continues, standing up and addressing the audience now. "Being 9 years old, losing your father, and still having the courage to move, to dance, to live. This young man right here, he's got soul, real soul, the kind you can't fake." The audience roars in agreement. James turns back to his band. "Fellows, we're going to play something for Michael, something his daddy used to play on Sunday mornings." He looks at Michael. "You know I got you. I feel good." Michael's face lights up. That was his favorite. "Then let's do it. And Michael, I want you to help me. Can you do that?" "But I can't stand up," Michael says, his voice small. James Brown smiles. "Baby, you don't need to stand up to have soul. Soul isn't in your legs. It's in your heart. You show these 4,500 people what soul looks like from right where you are." The band kicks in with that iconic horn intro. James starts singing, but he's positioned himself right next to Michael, encouraging him, dancing around the wheelchair, including him in every move. And then something magical happens. Michael starts singing along, not just mouthing the words, but really singing, loud and clear and full of joy. His upper body is moving to the rhythm. His arms are waving. He's performing. James Brown is feeding off this kid's energy, and the kid is feeding off James's energy. They're creating something together. A moment of pure, unfiltered soul that has nothing to do with legs or walking, and everything to do with spirit. The audience is going crazy. People are crying. Some are filming with their cameras. Everyone is witnessing something they'll never forget. When the song ends, James Brown kneels down next to Michael again. The theater is so loud with applause that he has to wait for it to quiet down before he can speak. "Michael," James says into the microphone, I want you to remember something. Your daddy is watching you right now. He's proud of you. He's proud that you came here tonight. He's proud that you got up on this stage. And he's proud that you just showed 4,500 people what real courage looks like. Michael is crying now. Do you really think he's watching? I know he is, baby. And you know what he's saying. He's saying, "That's my boy. That's my strong, soulful boy." James reaches into his pocket and pulls out his performance scarf, the famous red scarf that he uses during his cape routine. He wraps it around Michael's shoulders. "This is for you," James says. "You keep this. And every time you look at it, you remember that you performed with James Brown. You remember that you've got soul, and you remember that your daddy's love is with you every single day." The security guards carry Michael and his wheelchair back down to his seat. The entire audience is standing, applauding, many of them crying. Linda is sobbing, holding her son as the scarf drapes around both of them. James Brown wipes his eyes and turns back to his band. "Let's bring it home," he says. And he performs the rest of the show with an intensity that even his musicians say they'd never seen before. After the concert, as Linda is pushing Michael toward the exit, a man in a suit approaches them. "Excuse me, are you Michael Patterson?" Linda is immediately protective. "Who are you?" "I'm with James Brown's management. Mr. Brown would like to meet with Michael backstage, if that's possible." Michael's eyes go huge. "Really?" They follow the man through a maze of corridors to a dressing room. James Brown is sitting on a couch, still in his performance clothes, drinking water. When Michael rolls in, James stands up. "There's my man," James says. He sits back down so he's closer to Michael's level. "Michael, I want to tell you something. I've performed for presidents. I've played for millions of people. But what happened on that stage tonight? That was special. You gave those people something they'll never forget. You gave me something I'll never forget. Thank you for bringing me up there." Michael says, "That was the best thing that ever happened to me." James reaches out and shakes Michael's hand. A real handshake, firm and respectful, like shaking hands with an equal. "You ever need anything, you have your mama call my people. Okay, you're family now." Michael Patterson is 60 years old now. He still uses a wheelchair. He became a music teacher, working with disabled kids, showing them that music doesn't require perfect bodies, just open hearts. He never married, never had kids of his own, but he's impacted thousands of young lives, and in his living room, framed on the wall, is that red performance scarf from James Brown. Below it is a photo that someone in the audience took that night. 9-year-old Michael on stage with the godfather of soul, both of them singing, both of them glowing with joy. Michael tells the story to every new student he meets. "James Brown taught me that soul isn't about what your body can do," he says. "It's about what your spirit can express. And anyone, my new one, can have soul if they're willing to let it out." The Chicago Theater still stands on State Street, and while there have been thousands of performances there since that November night in 1972, the staff who were there that evening still talk about it. They talk about the little boy in the wheelchair. They talk about James Brown stopping the entire show. They talk about 4,500 people witnessing what soul really means, because that's what happened that night. James Brown didn't just bring a disabled kid on stage to make him feel good. He brought him on stage to teach 4,500 people a lesson they desperately needed to learn, that value isn't measured by what your body can do. That courage comes in all forms. That soul, genuine soul, lives in the heart, not the legs. Michael's mother, Linda, passed away in 2015. At her funeral, Michael brought that red scarf. He draped it over her casket and said, "Thank you, Mama, for taking me to see James Brown. Thank you for not letting my wheelchair stop me from living. You and James taught me that I could do anything." And he has, not in spite of the wheelchair, but alongside it. Because on that November night in 1972, a 9-year-old boy and the godfather of soul showed everyone watching that the hardest working man in show business isn't defined by his legs. He's defined by his refusal to let anything stop him from sharing his soul with the world. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that limitations are often just illusions we create. What's your story of overcoming what others said was impossible? Share it in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the moments when performers changed lives.